Welcome to Week 5. Determining an appropriate selling price for a company's goods or services is an extremely important function in business. The price must be attractive to potential customers, yet sufficient to cover expenses and provide the company with a reasonable profit. This week we'll be learning about markup and markdown. Week 5 objectives: analyzing and using the retail equation to find the cost, markup, and selling price. Calculating percent markup based on cost. Calculating selling price when cost and percent markup based on cost are known. Calculating cost when the selling price and percent markup based on cost are known. Calculating percent markup based on selling price. Calculating selling price when cost and percent markup based on selling price are known. Calculating cost when selling price and percent markup based on selling price are known. Determining the amount of markdown, determining the markdown percent, and determining the sale price after markdown. So it sounds like a lot of calculations this week, a lot of formulas. That's not a bad thing. Last week, when we were looking at percentages, we had 3 pieces to them, and we were always solving for the unknown. So we have 2 knowns and then an unknown. And that's pretty much what we're doing this week as well. Okay, let's get started. Using the retail equation to find the cost, markup, and selling price. Cost, that's the price paid to manufacturer or to a distributor for the merchandise. The markup, that's the amount added to the cost, and it covers the operating expense and profit. And then the selling price, it's the cost plus the markup. So, if we have a cost of $25 and we have a $15 markup, we add those together to get our selling price, $40. We can turn that formula around if we need to find the markup. It's going to be the selling price minus the cost. So if we sell something for $25 and it cost us $15, we do the subtraction and we come up with there was a markup of $10. Then finally, the third way to look at that same calculation, if I need to find the cost, that means I know the selling price and I have the markup. So if the selling price is $35 and the markup is $10, I subtract it from the selling price, and I can figure out my cost of $25. Calculating percent markup based on cost. The formula is markup divided by cost. And so, here's a problem. IMBC Industries produces stainless steel sinks at a cost of $56 each. If the sinks are sold to distributors for $89.60, what are the amount of markup and the percent of markup based on cost? First thing we need to do is we need to figure out the markup. So, markup is selling price minus the cost. So the selling price is $89.60 minus the $56, and we get our markup of $33.60. Now that we know the markup, we can come back up and we can do the markup divided by the cost to find our percent markup based on cost. Okay, so our markup, $33.60, divided by our cost, which is $56. That equals 0.6 because we have a decimal, but a percent is always going to be in a percentage, so we remove the decimal place 2 places over. And 60% is our percent markup based on cost. So again, just following the formulas and we should be okay. Next, we're going to calculate a selling price when cost and percent markup based on cost are known. So the formula to find that selling price, cost times 100% plus the percent of markup. So when you see an amount and then a parentheses, you don't see an addition, a plus, a multiplication. It's understood that this is multiplication. So a wallet costs $50 to produce. If the manufacturer wants a 70% markup based on cost, what should be the selling price of the wallet. Okay, so cost, 50 to produce. Here's the rest of her formula, 100% plus percent of markup. We look in the word problem, 70%. So $50 times 170%. We need to make that 170% the decimal equivalent. So now it's $50 times 1.7. Again, I'm happy if you guys use calculators, just plug it in, and we come up with an $85 selling price. Calculating cost when selling price and percent markup based on cost are known. A lot of words. Here's the formula. Cost, it equals the selling price divided by, again in parentheses, 100% plus the percent markup on cost. Here's another problem. American Eagle sells a blouse for $66. If a 50% markup based on cost is used, what is the cost of the blouse? So let's plug the things in. First, selling price, $66 times, again, our formula 100% plus, there's our markup, 50%. So $66 times 150%. Again, we're going to change the 150% to the decimal equivalent, so it's going to be times the 1.5 equals $44 cost. Calculating percent markup based on selling price. And so that formula is going to be markup divided by the selling price. IMDC Hardware and Garden Supply purchases electric drills for $60 each. If it sells the drills for $125, what is the amount of markup and what is the percent markup based on selling price? So to do this, we first have to find the markup because it's not given to us. So again, markup is the price, the selling price, $125 minus the cost, which is $60. So we have a markup of $65. Now that we know the markup, we can go ahead and plug in the formula. Markup divided by selling price. So $65 divided by $125 equals 0.52. Again, we're going to change the 52 to a percent. So we move the decimal 2 places to the right. We come up with a 52% markup based on the selling price. Next, calculating selling price when cost and percent markup based on selling price are known. So, to find the selling price, it's going to be cost divided by 100% minus the percent markup on the selling price. So, IBMC Furniture purchases wall units from the manufacturer for $550. If the store policy is to mark up all merchandise 60% based on the selling price, what is the retail selling price of the wall units? Okay, so cost, $550 divided by the 100% minus, again we find the 60%. So 550 divided by 100% minus 60% is going to be 40%. So 550 divided by 40%. Again, when we're calculating, we change a percent to a decimal. So $550 divided by 0.4 or 0.40. And again, we plug that into the calculator and we get $1,375 for our selling price. Next, calculating cost when selling price and percent markup based on the selling price are known. So to find the cost based on the selling price and the percent markup, it's selling price times 100% minus the percent of markup. A buyer for a chain of boutiques is looking for a line of dresses to retail for $120. If a 40% markup based on selling price is the objective, what is the most the buyer can pay for these dresses and still get the intended markup? So selling price, we're looking $120, 100% minus, okay, so the selling price, we're reading 120 times the 100% minus, there's our 40% markup, So 120 times 100% minus 40%, that's going to be 60%. So 120 times 60%, again, when we have a percent, that would be 0.6 because we 120 times 0.6, again, we have a cost of $72. Determining the amount of markdown. That formula is markdown equals the original selling price minus the sale price. If a sweater was originally marked at $89.95 and then was sale priced at $59.95, what is the amount of markdown? So again, original selling price, $89.95 minus the sale price, $59.95. We do the subtraction, we have a $30 markdown. Determining the markdown percent. Markdown percent equals markdown divided by the original selling price. A blender that currently sold for $60 was marked down and sold for $48. What is the amount of markdown and the markdown percent? So we know the original, $60, minus the $48. We have a $12 markdown. And now we're going to figure out what percentage of markdown that was. And so now that we know the markdown, $12 divided by the original selling price, which was $60. 12 divided by 60 is 0.2. Again, a percentage, we're going to change the decimal to a percent. We move the decimal place over. We have a 20% markdown. Determining the sale price after a markdown. Sale price equals, again the formula, the original selling price, times or multiplied by 100% minus the markdown price. So Fernando's Hideaway, a men's clothing store, originally sold a line of ties for $55 each. If the manager decides to mark them down 40% for a clearance sale, what is the sale price for a tie? So, original selling price, $55. 100%, what was the markdown? $40. 55 times 100% minus 40% is 60%. Again, we change the 60% to the decimal equivalent. $55 times the 0.6, and we get a $33 sale price. Okay, that was a lot of calculations this week, a lot of formulas. The good news is you don't need to memorize them. When you're doing your exercises, I do give you the formula. So, here's tips for a successful week. Do not procrastinate. Please log in every day. Get that attendance points. Stay active, stay engaged. Complete all your reading assignments. Watch the videos. Submit this week's assignment by Sunday. As always, contact me and let me help you cross that finish line. Happy calculating. Everybody have a fantastic week.